Chancellor Peterson, Professor Hilliard, Dean O'Sullivan, Dr. Carol Campbell, graduates, honored guests, faculty. I'm indeed grateful to the University of Toronto for this prestigious award and recognition. I thank Chancellor Peterson, President Naylor, Dean O'Sullivan, the Governing Council and faculty and staff for this honor. As a young girl growing up in rural Jamaica, I decided at about age 11 that I wanted to be a teacher. My plans included a first degree at the University of the West Indies and graduate studies at the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education. OISE provided a life-changing experience for me, teaching me to be more curious, to question all notions of certainty, and to develop a passion for inquiry and collaboration. Robert Putnam said that a liberal education is the key to civic engagement and a civil society. And without civility, the quest for prosperity will be fruitless. He argued that communities which succeeded socially and economically did not become civil because they were rich, but rather they became rich because they were civil. As educators, one of our many goals is to develop a civil society, one in which social capital is strong and our citizenry is engaged. I've always had an interest in learning about trends as a backdrop against which we educate our students. Gary Marx is a futurist who has done extensive research on 16 trends, as he calls them, that are most critical in educating today's students for tomorrow's world. I have chosen to comment briefly on 3 of these trends. And the ones that I've chosen are: majorities will become minorities, creating ongoing challenges for social cohesion. Number 2, pressure will grow to prepare our students for jobs and careers that do not presently exist. And 3, scientific advancements will force widespread and complex ethical choices. The first one, majorities will become minorities. According to Statistics Canada, in 2006, about 20% of the population was foreign-born. That continues to increase. Between 2001 and 2006, an estimated 1.1 million newcomers came to Canada from more than 200 countries. The highest percentages were from Asia, India, Pakistan, and the Philippines. During the same period, the foreign-born population grew by 13.6%. The entire Canadian population grew by only 3.3%. And lastly, they said, Canada's visible minority population is growing 5 times faster than the total population. What then are some of the implications for education? It means that today's teachers must be trained in and committed to diversity and equity. They must ensure that the true measure of equity is how well students from all groups achieve. Selected groups, such as Aboriginal students, English language learners, and students who live in poverty, must achieve to the maximum of their ability and be represented equitably at graduation and in post-secondary institutions. Equity means that factors such as poverty should not determine an individual's destiny. I am confident that under your watch, specific postal codes will not be associated with low performance. The Ontario government has made great strides over the last 8 years in closing achievement gaps, earning praise from OECD and other international organizations as one of the fastest improving systems in the world. Teachers and principals should be commended for their commitment and success in taking student achievement to new heights. I am sure that you, the class of 2012, will continue on this upward trajectory. The second trend, pressure will grow to prepare our students for jobs and careers that do not presently exist. The need to provide career development programs is an educational equity issue. As an instructional strategy, it improves educational outcomes for students in general, and particularly for students at risk of dropping out of school. When these students see the relationship between learning and earning, schooling becomes more meaningful. The cost of school failure to society is high. To the individual, it can have negative consequences. As a young guidance counselor, I spent much time providing career materials for students. I remember using a poster entitled, "Dropping Math, Say Goodbye to 82 Occupations." I persuaded English teachers at the time to allow me to teach one of their classes in order to have access to all students. I would set up a table in the cafeteria during lunch hour with career materials to engage students in discussions about their future plans. Believe me, the students could not escape me at all. In schools in which I worked, we arranged displays in the halls with large photographs of students with their future occupations chosen. This became a career awareness activity for students of all ages. Now, after completing a study many years ago on the career decisions of Ontario high school girls, I worked with the Ontario Women's Directorate to develop career materials for girls at that time. That was needed in the 1970s. I remember we used the pronoun she to describe occupations, especially the non-traditional occupations like pilot, architect, and engineer. We would say she does. I've always paid special attention to students that I felt needed exposure to occupations they had not previously contemplated. And when asked what he wanted to become, a young boy said, "I like medicine, but I don't want to become a doctor." And he also said that his favorite subject was art. So I asked him if he ever considered becoming a medical illustrator, combining those two loves. Career development has to be an integral part of every young person's education. Helping students select courses and occupations that match their interests, aptitudes, values, and dispositions is a shared responsibility. Every teacher, to my mind, needs to become a career developer. The 21st century personal and social skills and character attributes such as empathy, fairness, honesty, and integrity need to be taught systematically. They are the life and career success factors that are too important to be left to chance. And the third trend that I selected from that list of 16 is scientific advancements will force widespread and complex ethical choices. There are many scientific advancements that require our attention. These include human and therapeutic cloning, stem cell research, medical research using live animals, expanding the human lifespan, genetic engineering, eugenics, sale of human organs, full irradiation, nanotechnology, new energy-producing strategies, and the ongoing development of chemical and biological weapons. On what basis will students in our schools today make the required ethical decisions around these advancements? How are we preparing them to develop humane perspectives and respect for people of diverse backgrounds? Will they demonstrate the quintessential human quality of empathy? Helping students make ethical decisions is a responsibility that schools share with parents, guardians, and community. This means that teachers must have a good grounding in ethics and confidence in addressing these issues in the classroom. They must understand character development and its role in helping students think critically, feel deeply, and act wisely and ethically. When I was Associate Director of Education in the York Region District School Board, we initiated character education programs there. In fact, Chancellor Peterson was a keynote speaker when we launched the Building Communities of Character strategy in that region. Later, when I served as Director of Education in the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board in Peterborough, we implemented the character development program modeled off the York Region process. We engaged the widest possible cross-section of the community to build consensus on the values that we hold in common. Now, the development of character has been adopted by many school districts and municipalities and is being implemented in Ontario at the request of Premier McGuinty. Delighted to see Mary Jean Gallagher, head of the Secretariat, and many other colleagues are here, and they're carrying on that work. Business leaders who hire our graduates tell us that they can develop the technical skills, but they depend on educators and parents to develop attributes such as initiative, perseverance, and honesty. They say they don't know how to do that. We are supposed to be able to do that in our schools. Education is an intensely moral profession. Enhancing life chances is but one of those responsibilities. Educating hearts as well as minds and helping students achieve academically at the same time are key imperatives. I encourage you to listen to the clarion call of our students when they say, "Engage me or enrage me." Help them build upon the strong sense of fairness and social justice that so many of them are demonstrating in our schools today through their volunteer activities, which far exceed the mandatory hours required. Help them continue their focus on causes outside of themselves, understanding fully what it means to be human in an interdependent global community. And let's do this with a sense of urgency. In closing, it has been an honor to participate at all levels of the education system in Ontario. I take pride in the opportunity I've had to contribute to Canada's progress and prosperity. This is indeed the golden age of education. It requires people of hope and optimism. May the class of 2012 embody the highest ideals and values of our profession. Think back to your own schooling. Some teachers were special. May you become that special teacher to your students. What an awesome responsibility, but what a privilege. Thank you very much.